again. The What It Takes Radio Company brings you another episode of the Interesting Ideas podcast. And today we're asking a strange question. Did a Jew finding Jesus teach us a great lesson about life and business? I think you might be surprised. Greetings and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another Interesting Ideas podcast. I'm Stan, the radio man. We are here to help you be more interesting or lead a more interesting life. Maybe have interesting ideas. All of that is to hopefully help you become, more interesting ideas will give you a little bit more insight into life. Maybe have more influence. Maybe have more impact. And then, as we often say, it's impact. Is when you impact something that income happens. And it's not just money. Oftentimes it's something much better than money that will come into your life because you make an impact. Well, that's part of what we're all about here today. And as I said, going forward, we're trying to help you have some ideas that might help you start a business, grow a business, that there'll be very practical ideas that will help you further your career, your calling, your great cause. You have work to do. That's right. We all have work to do. And we're supposed to do good work, maybe even do the work of a master. As I just saw one of my good friends, he showed me that they had just rebuilt some old steps. And I looked at what they had done. And I said, that's beautiful. That's a master work. Yeah. Repairing steps that are kind of broken and maybe dangerous and maybe ugly. That was a day's worth, more than a day's worth of very good work. Please keep that in mind. And as one of them said, he said, well, these steps will be here longer than I will. And I said, and people will benefit from them long after you're gone. How about that? That's a good idea. He said, I never thought of it that way. And I said, that's important to think about it that way. Well, there you go. There's our first clue for how to perhaps be more interesting and build a better business. Now, you're always making decisions. Now, for instance, every time I get on the radio or on the video or whatever else I do, if I have to make a decision today, should I wear a tie or not? Now, years ago, I didn't even have to think about that. Of course. The first day I began to teach school, the principal said to us, as we sat there, most of us were new, younger teachers, and he said, please remember that in this school, in my school, the gentlemen always wear a coat and tie. Always. And then, ladies, I will not tell you how to dress, but you will dress like ladies. But those were decisions that were made for us. Now, things have changed. And now, should I wear a tie or should I be a little more casual and tieless? That's always a little bit of a decision for me because I've always loved ties. Since I had to wear them, I said I might as well learn to like them. And I actually started wearing what I would call a Trump tie, probably about the same time, maybe even before Trump did. And so occasionally I pull out my purple tie. And of course, since this is the season of Lent, this would be an occasion to wear a purple tie. So that's what I decided to do today. And we have a bit of a religious theme, but it's not a religious theme. It is most assuredly a life theme. But I'm sure that the title caught you. How did the Jew who met Jesus come up with the idea, vital for life and business? Now, Okay. Yeah, that's clickbait. That's an attempt to get you to give me your attention. And by the way, a lot of life in business is simply getting people's attention. They're busy doing something else, and so you have to do something that gets their attention. That's not easy to do these days, and all the news and noise that goes on. And so that's part of it. But there is I hope, a clever, but even more important, a serious side to it. Here we go. The Jew is a gentleman that many of you have heard of. He was, and still is, a famous rock star. He actually came from a place where I grew up, or nearby. He's from Hibbing, Minnesota. Uh, some of you are probably beginning to catch. And his name was Bobby Zimmerman. And he was a young Jewish boy from Hibbing, Minnesota, way up in the north. In fact, one of my colleagues in the school that I taught actually went to school with him. And she said he was kind of a strange, odd boy, but everybody liked to have him come to their parties because he could play the piano and he could entertain. Well, of course, Bobby Zimmerman left Hibbing, Minnesota, and became Bob Dylan. And of course, the rest of the story still continues. He's well into his 80s now. Well, welcome to the 80s club. Well, he's even welcoming to some of us and still doing his thing. Now, he had a number of what you might call incarnations. Like every entertainer, he had various interests and ideas and was changing from time to time. But at one particular time, he expressed a deep attachment to the person of Jesus. Now, I don't know where he is today or what he's about, but he would certainly say, well, you can be Jewish and love Jesus. But during that period, he came up with a song, and the song is vital. In fact, we even talk about it in our first chapter in our book on how to be a world-class Jesus entrepreneur, which we are writing at the moment. In fact, it's a bit done. The programs are all ready to go on the air, but the book in its initial stage is done. And this is what it says. There are 7 things you need to know about being an entrepreneur. And the first one is chapter 1, because what Bob Dylan said was, and you can look up the song, you've got to serve somebody. You have to serve somebody. Well, who am I supposed to serve? Well, that's for you to find out. Albert Einstein said that he knew the purpose of life, and that is you are here for others. You're here to help others. Well, who? Well, that's for you to find out. And he stretched the lesson to even greater implications by saying, is how do I know? Because you already are. You're serving something. You're serving somebody. It may not be the right person or the right thing or the right cause, but you're all serving somebody. I remember I was teaching a little bit of this lesson to a group of business leaders one time. And during the break, one of the gentlemen came up and he was going to kind of give it to me, but that's okay. He said, this idea of serving others, you got to find, he said, I'm a busy man. I've got a growing business. It's tough. It's hard. Got a family to support. I got a business to run. I have to serve myself. That's who I have to serve. I think I said, and I hope I said it kindly, well, I hope you pay well and on time, because then you're the only customer you will ever get. I think he got it. They just shrugged and walked away. Yeah, And what Dylan reminds us of, that oftentimes I say when someone comes to me with a great product or a great idea, well, who's it going to help? Who is it going to serve? Uh, who are you going to serve? Could it be that we are made to serve others? There's a tough guy named Dan Sullivan, and I don't know if he has any spiritual sensitivities. I don't think so. Uh, but he has the rather smart comment of saying, "You are entitled." That's right. You are entitled. You deserve. And then with a kind of a tough guy look, he says, "You are entitled to serve others." And that's the only entitlement you have. May I kind of just leave it at that? Because in effect, the people we're called to serve may change all the time. Our businesses will evolve. The marketplace is going to change. Uh, how are we called to serve? Who are we called to serve? How are we called to serve them? What will go well for them? How will they be better, smarter, happier, better off? Will their life flourish? Will their life flourish? I am now known for a bit of a comment where I have said, uh, if your business does not contribute to human flourishing, it's probably a racket. We can talk about that sometime. My friend Joe, who's working on a book on transformation, that's one of the goals of life and business, is that people are served because they can be transformed, or they can be involved in the transformation and service of others. You are called to serve others. Well, that's what Bob Dylan said when he met the person of Jesus. And that led him to pronounce principle number one in life and business, and for you particularly as an entrepreneur, as a creator, someone in the marketplace, you're called to serve. Who? That's up to you. How? You have to decide. When? That's for you. But whatever other decisions you make, you got to serve somebody. I can help you. I'm pretty good at that, helping you discover how to do that, how to market your business, how to sell your stuff. If you're prepared to tell me, who are you called to serve? If you can figure that out, I know I can help you. If you haven't figured that out yet, maybe I can help you. But I can help you. All the best and blessings. Please reach out to me at stan@witradio.net, stan@witradio.net. My coaching, consulting, and speaking and teaching services are at your service. Thank you for your time. May it go well for you. May you have a service-filled week as we press on. Life and business are tough right now. We live in turbulent, transitioning, transforming, and sometimes even tragic times. Who are you called to serve? All the best. Till next time. Bye for now.